Welcome back, guys. In this video we're going to talk about the mirror principle, and more specifically we're going to look at people. Why is it that people are our greatest mirror, that people can reflect to us like nothing else the real source of our thought, our belief, our consciousness, our identity, that is creating, perpetuating certain patterns, certain themes, certain situations and experiences in our life. So if you've been experiencing that certain things, you keep on attracting certain people, certain situations, certain outcomes in your life, and you're like, I'm done with it, I want to change this, but I don't know how. The mirror principle can really help you understand this, because when you understand that there's nobody to change but yourself, that life is only reflecting back to you who you are being, your own belief system about yourself, but also about the world, you start to understand that the power is in you. And too often we get stuck on trying to fix, change, and have something outside of us disappear, change, modify, so we can be happy, so we can go to the next level, so we can finally sort out a certain situation. And without knowing that, without giving so much power to our external world, we become trapped, stagnating with that external world, because what we resist persists. And our mind becomes so fixated on pointing the finger somewhere that we miss out the clues that can help us become aware of how we created this in the first place. And so Neville Goddard used everybody is you pushed out to explain this mirror principle, especially regarding people. Carl Jung talked about perception is projection, how we project onto people our own belief system, our own shadows, right? But even in Hermetica, many years ago, many thousands of years ago, it was always as within, so without. So this is something that has been taught for a long time, but that can be a bit complex, paradoxical, and not that straightforward to understand, especially because the mind fights it, resists it. Because when the ego understands this information, often what the ego does is thinks like, well, there's only me, there's only I, finally, right? I can do whatever I want, guilt-free, work on people, manipulate people, because there's only me, nobody else is real, right? And that's not the truth. I mean, this is definitely the first dangerous belief here. Other people are real, just like you are, right? Everybody has free will, everybody's creating their own life, and we are also collectively creating our experiences, right? And this is a theme for another video of the mirror principle collectively. How does it work? So I don't want to mix up those two things, otherwise we're going to be here for a long time. But let's focus specifically on people. And the reason this can become tricky very often again is because the mind will resist. Because our ego likes to be right and point fingers and become defensive and argue. So if I'm right and people are disrespectful and people are did that and they said that and they didn't do this and they didn't show up and they messed up, why the hell should I change? Right? They're wrong, they should make up, they should change, everybody around me should fix their shit so I can be happy and deal with my life. When you're in that state, right, when the mind gets there in that victim trap, aggressive, pointing the fingers, there's no room for growth. You're stuck, your mind is closed, because you never look at how did I create that? You never take responsibility. And taking responsibility means being responsible to change. But if you want to become a conscious creator of your reality and truly understand the mirror principle, you can no longer simply blame the finger every time the same things keep happening. You keep attracting the same people and the same situation, and it's just never ending. At some point, you gotta own it, and you gotta look inside, and you gotta have a look at how did I create that? Because the moment you start to look at this, you can start to ask, well, what is this situation? What is this person reflecting back to me? What is the insight I can get that? What is the belief, the thought, the identity? What is it that I need to change in me so I can start changing what is outside of me? It's like having a big projector, like this old movie projector with the big film that just project on the movie screen. We are so focused on the movie screen and we're like, oh my God, I would like to cut and change and put a new picture, that we forget that what is being seen on the screen comes from the projector, meaning the mind, especially the subconscious mind. So when you go in the film and you cut the film and you make those edits, then the image on the screen will change. So let me give you a few examples of What do I mean by everyone is you pushed out, and what you can learn from different situations with different people? Because it can be a bit tricky to understand that people are your mirror. It's not always so straightforward into what are they mirroring back to me. Here is something that was a big one for me. Many years ago, I realized that one of my big core beliefs about the world and people was that the world is not a nice place, that the world is not fair, that people are not fair, that you have to be you have to be careful, you have to beware, you have to fight yourself, you have to protect yourself, you can't trust easily. I had all those beliefs about the world and people. And so my experience of the world, because that's what I was projecting on the mirror, right? The projector was projecting on the mirror, and I was experiencing those things, people, situations happening that was keep on making me feel like this world is so unfair, it's unjust, it's shit, really. Till I realized and asked myself, well, who told me that? I mean, where does that belief even came from to start with? When did I decide that that's what the world is, right? Well, I look back and was like, that's what my parents believe. This is what society and movie and the people around me, state of mind was. I never questioned it. I never second guessed it. I never even thought about it, because it was my reality, and I had so many experiences that this is how it is. So as long as I didn't overcome that one belief, how could I ever believe that life is supporting, loving, that wants me to be abundant, that wants me to be, successful and happy, and that people are nice to me and friendly and loving and kind? So as long as I didn't have that state of mind, how could I ever attract this kind of situation in my life? And I tell you, it's black and white, because now I get so lucky, I get so blessed, I meet amazing people. But it starts with that. How many people have a negative experience of God, right? Thinking that you're a sinner and God is mad at you, and that you gotta repent, and that you gotta do all these type of things, otherwise you're gonna burn in hell forever. I mean, imagine that belief, the price, the cost, the guilt, the shame of that belief, and how this affects everything in your life. But if you go a bit more specifically, let's go into relationship. I had a client many years ago. She was in a relationship that ended up her being hurt, cheated on. It didn't work out very well, and it was quite hurtful at the end. And after a while, after many months, I think after 2 years, she was ready to date, to find somebody else, to having that relationship that she really wanted. And she kind of forgot the decision that she made early on. That man cannot be trusted, that they're all the same, that they're all gonna cheat, that they're all gonna hurt you, and I'm never gonna allow this to happen again. So what she was doing is attracting certain men that either had big red flag or either could not be trusted. And if it was going well, she would start to become obsessive. She would start to become jealous. She would start to become weird. She would start to, who you texting, what you're doing, and doubting them. Inevitably pushing them away and repeating this pattern until she realized, oh, I'm still hurt. I'm still not over what happened. I still hold on to that belief. I'm still projecting that to every guy out there. So after changing that, she was able to have that breakthrough and create and allow something better in her life. Another story, somebody at work being passed on for promotion and raises, and being, always ignored or always belittled, or always somehow, when it involved a big decision or a big project that was important, not part of it. And even when he had the opportunity to speak up in a meeting, to offer his 2 cents, to give a great idea, he would shut his mouth and he would sabotage his own opportunity. And he was wondering, why does this keep happening? Why is it that my boss is nice on one front, and then boom, feels like he's punishing me, not valuing me, not working, what am I doing wrong? I'm doing all these things. Until he started to realize that he always found, ever since school, that he was stupid, that he was never gonna make it, and that he wasn't good enough. And so all he was doing in his life is perpetuating that situation, keeping himself in a situation where he felt that's all I'm worthy of, and just having people making him feel like he's stupid, making him feel like he's not good enough. Until he was able to access that worthiness and change his own identity about himself. Last story, imagine you keep on meeting people who are rude, disrespecting you, making weird comments, just treating you in some bizarre way. You feel like, I don't deserve that, I'm a good person, why is this happening to me, why do I make all those weirdos, what did I do to deserve this kind of thing, maybe, right? Two things that you may be wondering. First is, how do you treat yourself this way? Do you have a strong inner critic? Do you feel like you're unworthy? Do you belittle yourself? Do you attack yourself? Do you feel like somehow you have this big belief of unworthiness? Or where do you do that in your life toward others? Because sometimes it's also how we treat others tends to come back right at us, like almost like that karma. So if you're being rude and disrespectful and sneaky, sarcastic comment and judgeful and angry and all these type of things at others, then don't be surprised if it comes back to you. So in all those examples, what I'm trying to do is really give you an idea, different angles, so you can start to understand, wow, different situation, different context, but if I look back at me, I can find the clues of what is the thought, what is the belief, what is the assumption, what is the projection that I have that needs to change. And in all of this, what's good to always consider is the golden rule. Because do not make the mistake that this gives you some form of power or authority over other people, to treat them like shit because everybody is being pushed out anyway, there's just me kind of thing. That's your ego. If you go down that road, life will show you in a very tough way, and it will go right back at you. Because if you try to manipulate others and treat others as shit and take away their free will and impose stuff on them, you will find that life and people will do exactly the same thing back at you. And when it happens to you, you're gonna hurt and you're gonna wonder, where does that even come from? Because how you treat others is how others will treat you. And it's very dangerous to impose anything on everybody's free will, especially if you're aware of it. And that's why it's always good to try to the best of your ability to keep situation in a win-win, or to at least keep it into like, ethically, ecologically correct for all as much as possible. At least this is my personal belief about this. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So as you keep this golden rule in mind, it can really be a good teacher. And that's why it's in every single scripture, in every single metaphysical and book and people that talk about this type of things, the golden rule always shows up. So as you treat others, meaning when you stop projecting your shit and your judgment and your envy and your doubt and your fear and your anger and your unresolved traumas and all these things on others, and you start to see them as being worthy, as being loving, as being kind, as being whole, as being, free from all that judgment and projection, people start showing up differently in your life. And so you feel like, wow, it's like magic, but all you did is really clean up your own lens. So here's a question that I get often here is that, well, if I have so much power, is everything is me pushed out, and if I can change anything about me, then really, why is it that sometimes then relationships still end up not working out in the long run? And this is a very interesting question, right? If everything is you pushed out, why is it that still, after working on yourself and dealing with certain things, maybe your relationship still ends up not working out? And this is when it becomes very complex, because I personally believe that every relationship serves a purpose. I know that many years ago, when I was in a relationship with one of my ex, she brought out of me all the nice guy's tendency, being too nice and all this people pleasing stuff, the hard way. And so the relationship ended up being, brutal and toxic and bad, but it taught me a lot about, the shame and unworthiness and many beliefs that I had in me, and why it was coming out in those people-pleasing tendencies and so on. And so thanks to that relationship that didn't work out, I was able to shed a lot of light in those dark corners of my mind and outgrow that and create better relationship moving forward. So every relationship serves a purpose, and that's why those personal, most intimate relationships are the one that push our buttons the most, and vice versa, right? We do that to them, and this is why we can grow the most. All right, guys, so I hope this makes sense. I hope you understood what I'm trying to say in this video, that it makes sense, because it is a complex topic that we could really lengthen and talk a lot in depth. But I hope it makes sense. If you have any question, make sure you write them down in the comments. If you have any specific question, maybe I can answer them as well. With that, guys, thank you for watching this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and I will see you in my next video. Be well.